Guess what we're gonna talk about today? Any idea? Well, you guessed right, we're gonna talk about lights and we're gonna talk about the Godox VL150. Very nice. If you're new to my channel, my name is Mamo. I'm a content creator based in UK and Italy, so I travel back and forth when we can travel. And I create video reviews, video making tips, tutorials. I've got a few video making online courses as well, so go and check them out on mamoair.com. Some of them are marked as bestsellers on Udemy as well, so totally recommend to go and join my crew. I'm a professional video maker and that's what I do for a living, so I'm really excited today to show you another great light. Hello and welcome to a new video. This is gonna be a review and we're gonna review the Godox VL150. What is it? This is a studio light, LED continuous light. It's part of a series by Godox, the VL150, VL200 and VL300. The number, in this case 150, stands for the watts, so the power that the light can reproduce. This is a series of day light. The temperature of the light is 5600 Kelvin, so pure white light. And I'm gonna show you a couple of tests later on in the review. I want to start from the bundle. When I bought my light, I actually bought a bundle with different things inside, and of course you'll find the light, the VL150, with the controller, wired controller, but also there was a wireless controller, remote controller here. There's a strap for V-mount batteries, a few gels, color gels, and also the frames for the gels already, a reflector, barn doors, and honeycomb grid. Probably the thing I liked the most of this bundle was the case. It's a padded carrying case. It's great because you can fit anything you need for this light inside a bag and you can just travel and commute around with everything you need right here. This bundle was 430 euros on Amazon. You can find the price and the links in the description tab. Let's talk about the dimensions and the weight of the light. The VL150 measures 30 centimeters of length, 14 of width, and the height is 18 centimeters. The weight is 1 kilo and 97 grams. In terms of build, the light is made of metal, the main part of the body. Then we got some plastic elements, and we're gonna cover these features starting by the back handle. As you can see here, there's just a back handle to move your light and tilt it also up and down, but also to carry your light around the set. A knob on the side, really strong actually. It's a rosette knob, so you can also fit some of the big soft boxes and diffusers and whatever modifier you have. And the knob will be able to hold and manage bigger soft boxes really nicely. So I'm really happy with this. The light comes with a LED protector in the front. It comes off and we're gonna talk about the mount. The main mount is actually a Bowens mount, so you can fit all the modifiers or diffusers that you already have, you already own, if they feature a Bowens mount. In the front of the light, under the LED, we also have a hole to fit an umbrella, if you do have an umbrella. The U-stand features two holes, one at the bottom and also one on the stand itself. So you can fit the light vertically, as you can see now, but also horizontally or underslung. How do we power the light? Of course, it can be powered through cable at the back of the light, but also it can be powered through V-mount batteries. At the back of the controller here, this is actually the controller. It's quite big, but I've seen bigger controllers, so this is not a downside for me. You will find the V-mount plate and you can just slide here your batteries, V-mount batteries. This is actually one of the downsides I found about the light. The V-mount plate is not strong enough to really hold the battery. As you can see, it comes off with no strength, so very easily. And it's kind of hard to fit on the plate too. Then when it does fit, it's quite hard to take it off. even if you press the button, the release button on the side, it just doesn't come off. So you really need to push through and then you will release the battery. So that's one of the downsides for me on this light. Talking about the controller here, we have a couple of antennas, one for the remote controller here and one for the Bluetooth, because you can also control the light through an app. But we're going to talk about it in the next section. And here on the controller, we have a string that kind of hides inside the controller to hang the controller on the stand. The power cable is quite long. It's probably around 5 meters long, so I can run the cable through my studio with no problem. I've seen some people complaining about the string here, but it's not a big deal and it does the job. Let's talk about how we operate the light. Well, we can turn it on through the controller here. There's a power button. We just press it and hold it for a second or two. And there it is. We have just powered the light on. But also we can now use the remote controller. Same thing, there's a power button on the remote controller. We can just turn it on and off. On both controllers also we can set different channels, so you can calibrate different lights on the same channel or on different channels and operate those lights through the remote controller. You can do the same thing also here on the actual controller. To dim the light up or down, there is a wheel on the controller and a plus and minus button on the remote controller. You just turn the wheel down and it goes down to 0, so the light is now off. But on the remote controller, you can go down to 10%. So you can't go to 0 on the remote controller, but you can do it on this controller. As I mentioned, you can also control the light via Bluetooth through an app called Godox Photo that you can find on Play Store and iStore. I'm sure you want to know about the brightness, and that's what we're going to test in a second. First of all, this is a 150 watts light, which reproduces 61,000 lux at 1 meter away with the reflector on. If we talk about bare bulb, so with no reflectors or modifier, the light reproduces 6,400 lumens lux. Testing the brightness, and this is going to be fun. First of all, I want to turn all my studio's light off. Also, I set up the VL150 on my left-hand side, as I would do normally to light myself up for YouTube videos, for example. This is plain bulb, so we're gonna see 6,400 lux, 6,400 lumens, no diffusers, no modifiers. Let's go. Okay, this is my studio off. We're gonna turn on the VL150, and that's how I look at 10% of power on the VL150 with no modifiers, no diffusers. I'm gonna turn it up to 100%, and before I do that, I guide you through the settings of my camera. So I'm filming at f1.8, ISO 400, shutter speed 1/48 of a second at 24 frames per second. Daylight, I'm gonna go up to 50%. This is 50%. I'm still correctly exposed according to my light meter on the camera. And let's go to 75, that's 75%. There I am, 100, still the light meter is okay. It says there's no any burned highlights. So there I am. We're gonna put up the big soft box. It's a 2-layer diffuser plus soft grid. We're gonna see how that looks. This is me now with the big soft box, 90 centimeters of diameter soft box, 2 layers diffusion plus soft grid. It's probably a meter away from me, and the light is at 100% of power. Let's turn it down to 75%. This is still too bright for the use I would normally do. 50%. Usually when I make YouTube videos, I use it at 50% of power with this softbox. And I'm going down to 25, it's 25%. Still exposed correctly, more or less, so there's no burn highlights. Second test here, I wanted to show you how we can film in slow motion. This is going to be 120 frames per second, shutter speed 240th of a second. I'm still filming at f1.8 and the ISO is 400. I still have the softbox with 2 layers of diffusion and soft grid on, 25% of power. We're going to go to 50%. and which is actually okay already. I think 75 is going to be better for your slow motion if you do product videography, food videography, that kind of commercials. This is 75%. So it's definitely doable. I guess the light is still 1 meter away from me, and we're going to go to 100%. There it is. So these are your settings if you want to film in slow motion. Next test, as you can see, I've got the light now with the reflector on, lighting up the background. The light is out of frame at 10% because I want to reproduce some daylight, and that's what this light does. It's white light at 5600 Kelvin. I only have the reflector on so we can see the 61,000 lux. This 10% and it's correctly balanced and exposed on my camera over there. And as you can see, it just seems some light coming from the windows. So let's bring it up. And I want to show you how powerful that becomes. This is going to be 25% and this is going to be 50%, and it's overtaking already my ML60 here at 60% of power. I'm going to 75, the highlights are already burned out, and I'm going to 100% of power, and there you have it. So that looks like daylight right now. So I definitely need a stronger light here to light up myself to compensate. What I want to do is to put the barn door and also the grid, the honeycomb grid, on the reflector and create some real kind of daylight going through the blinds, for example. I'm closing slightly the doors here at the top and the bottom to recreate some blinds effect over there. And I open up the side doors, and here I am. That looks nice, and that's something you can achieve with the VL, well, with all the lights basically. So this is now 50% of power. The settings went back to 24 frames per second, 1/48 of a second in terms of shutter speed, ISO 400, filming at f1.8. That's nice for me, and it works out. Nice long shadows, like it's early morning or the end of the day, probably early morning because the light is too white. But of course you've got your gels and you can play with the temperature as well. My final thoughts. First of all, I wanted to share with you why I chose this light. I was looking for a professional studio light, mainly for my YouTube studio, but also something that can help me with video making, even outdoors, and of course reproducing cinematography indoors in a studio, for example. And I was looking at the aperture, as you might know, the 120D Mark II or also the 300D, but they were out of my budget. So I found the Godox series. Actually, that just came out when I purchased it. I was impressed by the build and also by the quality of the light that this item can actually reproduce. I was also looking for a light that owned a carrying bag, and that's really one of the few that comes with a padded bag as nice as that. Of course, there is the aperture, but this one was a great option for me. And also I reviewed the Godox ML60, so I definitely recommend to go and check this video up if you're looking for a smaller light or for a second light for your studio or for also cinematography and photography. I found the bundle on Amazon. The price was okay for me, £430, so probably half of the price of the aperture, with a few gadgets, a few extras, so perfect for what I needed once again. And separately, I bought this big softbox, which I showed you before during the test. So with 550 euros more or less, I had a complete package. I think this is still a carrying light. You can fit everything in this bag and just travel and commute. As I said before, I would recommend it also for photographers, even though it's a continuous light, but I've seen actually, and I met photographers nowadays, they're using continuous light. And if you're a food videographer, product photographer, whatever, this is great for indoors. These are my thoughts about the Godox VL150. So if you enjoyed the video, if you liked what you've seen, consider to subscribe and hit the like button, but also go and check my online courses for video making. There's a lot of stuff there. As I mentioned, they're marked as bestsellers on Udemy. They're going great. I've got thousands of students already, so I can't wait to see you there, and I hope you're gonna join me there. Go and check my website at mamoair.com, and I will see you in the next video, which might be a review or some production I'm working on, whatever it's happening in my life, you'll find it right here. See you soon.